Hey guys, once more welcome back to yet another one of my Arrow videos and my review of the 5th episode of Season 6. What a great episode. I mean, if you thought the premiere of this season was great, if you thought the second episode was the best, this episode just topped them all. Now I understand a lot of fans are probably disappointed with the reveal of Vigilante. I am personally disappointed here. Even though I already knew it was someone newly cast, I had a totally different list of names on mind, and none of them was Vincent Sobel. However though, and in my opinion, there's a lot on this episode that actually made up for that kind of reveal. I'm gonna be discussing that in a moment here. But oh my god, this whole Slade and Oliver going on this adventure together trying to find Joe Wilson, that was extremely nostalgic. That was Season 1 nostalgic. As a matter of fact, this episode is worthy of being referred to as a Season 1 quality episode. I mean, it got all the components. You've got Oliver, you've got Slade, you've got flashbacks, and you've got the Alpha name drop. But there was also the Slade Wilson, the Terminator nickname. Now I'm kind of a little bit hazy here, not really sure, but I think this is the first time we got to hear this nickname of Slade's on Arrow. And it happens to be a total reference to his comic book title, Deathstroke, the Terminator. Anyway, and before I venture any further, I've already announced the winner for the second DCTV giveaway this season on my Gotham review video. I'll probably be starting a third giveaway pretty soon, either next week or the following week, so just stay tuned. But for the time being, let's talk my list of general comments and Easter eggs for Deathstroke Returns. Number 1. Before I get to talk more Slade Wilson, Oliver Queen, and Joe Wilson, let's talk Star City and the elephant in the room, Vigilante. Now it was definitely a surprise finding out that Vigilante is none other than Diana Drake's presumed dead partner, Vincent Sobel. And for me, him being a metahuman as well was quite the face-palming moment. However though, I'm a man who likes to see the glass half full or the silver lining to everything, and the silver lining here is that we got a great performance throughout this episode from Juliana Harkavy. She just delivered from the moment she realized that Vincent Sobel is Vigilante to the very last moment of this episode when she found the matchbox in a car. Still though, this season kinda gave Juliana Harkavy or Dinah Drake two villains to her name. The first one is one she completely despises, that being Earth 2 Laurel aka Black Siren. And the second one is basically someone she sympathizes with and possibly still loves, that being Vincent Sobel or Vigilante. And the problem here, in my opinion, is that it originally seemed that every single member of the team was gonna get their very own villain. And with Wild Dog's new suit, it did seem like they were foreshadowing that Vigilante was gonna be his villain. That didn't really seem to be the case on this episode. However though, I've got to admit that even though I see this as a minor issue there, they managed to throw us off, and they threw us off well with Wild Dog's new suit. Still on the reveal though, and number 2, Vigilante was really such a quick reveal. I mean, a little bit of mystery would go a long way. Now I do understand that they're kind of doing away with the whole villain reveal trope, but still, the reveal just felt so rushed, so quick, and so easy. It just felt like the showrunners finally came to a decision on who he was gonna be, got overexcited, and they were like, let's reveal him right away. Simply put, it seems like they didn't think this whole thing the whole way through. Number 3 though, does a single showrunner, producer, writer on the show read a comic book? Even if not, does any one of them actually look up shit on the internet? Once again, I'm not really hating on the reveal that Vigilante was Vincent Sobel. All I'm saying is there were other names, far better names, to reveal as Vigilante on this episode. And all of them are basically characters out of the comics. None of them we've seen before, but a lot of them we've actually heard about, which basically fits the same profile as Vincent Sobel. Adeline Kane, Slade Wilson's wife for example, took up the mantle of Vigilante at some point down the road in the comics. And with this being a Slade Wilson-centric episode, she could have totally fit the profile. He would be out there with Oliver looking for their son while she's back in Star City, wreaking havoc and bringing about chaos. But let's move away from the topic of Vigilante and talk some Felicity. And number 4. So I kind of found the scene between Samantha and Felicity to be extremely funny. And I do understand, for someone with Felicity's intellect, her quick responses there sounded pretty stupid. But hey, it was funny. Season 1 Felicity funny. And we've got to give her that. Felicity as well was a lot better on Arrow this week than she was in her guest starring capacity on The Flash. On The Flash, she was extremely irritating, to be honest. I mean, they were trying so hard to write her funny, they ended up writing her extremely cheesy and corny. In the meanwhile, and on Arrow, she had the slight, nice, and even funny at times tone to her conversations and to her character in general. Number 5 though. Now, I don't usually give mention to every single funny moment on an episode. Sometimes I don't even mention a single one on a video. But Rene, aka Wild Dog, has been a comic relief on the show for a while now. And it is not only when he's funny making the jokes or interacting with others, but he also happens to bring the fun out of others when they interact with him. And hence why his very first scene on the episode cracked me up. Just be the mayor until I get back. For real? No, it's a figure of speech. Just don't make any laws while I'm out of the office. Well, let's get to discussing a lot of Deathstroke for the rest of this video. Number 6. Now, there were no actual team-up of mercenaries in the comics called the Jackals, Deathstroke related or otherwise. However though, there was one Bill Walsh who went by the name Jackal. He's basically started off as a partner to Slade Wilson in military school. His failure basically has him out of Camp Washington, he blames Slade for it, and also hates him for marrying Adeline Kane, whom he wanted for himself. So pretty much he's known to be an enemy of Slade Wilson. He's also been responsible at some point down the road in the comics for kidnapping Joe Wilson and slitting his throat, making him a mute. So you could basically understand the reference they're using here for the group of mercenaries we watched on last night's episode. Of course though, it does kind of sound a little bit ironic, because Joe Wilson here is kind of on top of this team of mercenaries. Number 7 though. The Deathstroke action sequence / massacre, starting with his magnificent Who's in Charge entrance and all the way till the last Jackal he takes down. Now all that was pretty flawless. I think that so far this is the best action sequence we've watched this season. I think that by far as well, it is one of the best on the series since its inception a little bit over 5 years ago. Number 8. Watching Oliver and Slade working with one another once again was extremely good. As I did state earlier, it did all feel like it was a total callback to Season 1, except in this case, Oliver is no more the wimpy spoiled brat from the Season 1 flashbacks. Number 9. Now while the flashbacks was a welcome aspect of an episode that took a lot after its Season 1 counterparts, they just needed to do a little bit more with them. I think a lot of you might actually share my opinion here, but those flashbacks just started seeming after a little while a little bit repetitive. But at least there is the flashbacks that deliver on what they aimed at delivering, which is presenting us with an image of what the relationship between a young Joe and Slade was like. So I could basically live with that. However, next week's episode, I do hope we get to see the rest of the Wilson family. So basically, I'm looking forward to seeing characters like Grant Wilson, Rose Wilson, and Adeline Kane. However, Rose Wilson might or might not exist within the Arrowverse. But finally, number 10. There was some kind of mirroring on this episode, basically with Slade and Joe on one hand, and Oliver and William on the other hand. Now, I personally don't think they played that whole mirroring thing really well, so I don't really care for it, and I don't think they should try to pursue that in the future. I do believe they just need to treat the whole William situation as a separate arc, one that Oliver deals with in the privacy of his own home. And yes, I do understand that everything that happens in Oliver's life affects his relationship with William. However, they don't really need to try and make everything about that, try to foreshadow it all the way through. On one final note though, and this is not related to a specific moment, Samantha Watson as a character is really growing on me. I'm really loving that serious FBI vibe she's bringing to the show, being on everyone's ass and all. Both her scenes, along with those of Dinah Drake on this episode, are what gave the Star City scenes a certain flavor on this episode. And that is exactly what covered for the very bad reveal of who Vigilante was. But with all of that being said, I guess you can tell what my opinion is of this episode. It's sort of mixed. However though, I'd give it a solid 7.5 to maybe 8 out of 10. Now if the Vigilante reveal was better, if they chose a better character to put under that mask, I'd totally give it a solid 9 out of 10. So let me know in the comments what you thought of the 6th episode of the season of Arrow. Let me know as well what you thought of the Vigilante reveal. Do you share my opinion on the Slade Wilson arc on this episode? And do you share my opinions on the Samantha Watson and Juliana Harkavy scenes as well? Let me know as well if you think Slade is gonna go full-on Deathstroke evil on next week's episode. Now if you did like the content of this video, it would be much appreciated if you crown my effort by dropping it a like. And while you're doing that, you can always subscribe as well and enable notifications for my future videos. And until I see you next time, thank you all for watching and have a good one.